Hello friends. Having played part 3 of Poppy Playtime, I was most amazed by Miss Delight. Apart from the main boss of this part of the catnap, this is perhaps the most terrible enemy. But who is she? How did she become like this? And could she survive? Let's talk about this today, but before that I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. Begin. Miss Delight is a mascot created by Playtime Co., who debuted in Chapter 3 Deep Sleep. She was an anatomy teacher who resided in the school alongside her now-deceased sisters. Miss Delight has shimmering golden hair with a crimson bow tie perched atop of her head. She wears a torn crimson skirt adorned with playful polka dots and a vibrant tricolor shirt of blue, red, and yellow with an apple symbol on it. A crimson tie can be seen accentuating her office shirt. Her once smiling grin is now completely broken, exposing the now dirty flesh and teeth underneath. Part of her shirt is torn and dirty, which likely occurred during the hour of joy. Based on her cutout and intercom message, Miss Delight was a very kind and gentle teacher who spoke in a sweet voice. Eager to spread knowledge to the children of Playcare, Miss Delight encouraged students to inquire her and her sisters with questions they had regarding their topics of interest. However, after the hour of joy, she started to descend into madness. Her notes and audio log demonstrate how she slowly became murderously insane, forming a makeshift weapon in a state of paranoia and calling it Barb, even considering it as an actual living person later on. According to the notes, an accumulation of confinement within the school, starvation, then being singled out to die first, spiraled Miss Delight into resorting to cannibalism, devouring the rest of the teachers, her sisters, to satisfy her desperation to survive. This gave rise to a twisted obsession for bloodshed, to the point of targeting innocent beings if given the chance, saying that had Catnap not hidden the surviving children of Playcare, she would have killed them all as well. Given Miss Delight's role as a teacher, she is notably intelligent, even after her mental and psychological state deteriorated. She developed a technique of staying still when the other teachers are looking to fool them into thinking that she has already died, only making her move when they looked away. She is also smart enough to not attack and try to kill Catnap, suppressing her rage when first meeting him, knowing that he knew that she's not capable of doing such a thing with her strength, and that he could easily defeat her. She instead opted to making a deal with the creature, looking out for each other and reporting what they see to each other, and to the prototype, it being the best way to ensure her survival in Playcare. There is some sanity that remains intact inside of Miss Delight, as she encouraged the player to leave the school for their own safety, noting that Catnap would not be happy having their presence in his lair. However, her senses were overrun by the need to consume, lacking the control to suppress her desire for slaughter. Miss Delight was one of at least 8 identical constructs who viewed each other as sisters, serving as teachers for Playcare. Following the hour of joy, they were locked within the school by Playcare's guardian. Miss Delight believed she heard something breathing on the other side of the door. This led to the creation of her signature weapon, in case anything came through. Sometime afterwards, her sisters cut her off from food, presumably due to her being suspected of hoarding some. As time went on, she slowly went insane and started to consider her weapon as an actual person. Barb eventually taught Miss Delight that if she stopped moving and stood very still, her sisters will assume she was dead. She relied on this tactic to ambush the other teachers and later on, attempt to use it on the player and consume them to satisfy her hunger. Sometime later, she found the door unlocked and discovered Catnap, whom she surmised was the one who locked the door. The two formed an uneasy truce afterwards, both relaying what they see to each other and to the prototype. The player's first encounter with Miss Delight is through the PA system, her voice echoing through like a pre-recorded message. Later, as the player is crawling under a desk, they catch a glimpse of Miss Delight walking across the hall. As they are still reeling from this encounter when Miss Delight's voice booms over the PA again, she is curious, demanding to know how the player is still alive, while warning them to leave for their own safety. The player ignores her warning, pressing on through the abandoned school. They soon reach a point, a door that leads to a dark and forbidding area. Miss Delight's voice crackles over the PA again, mocking the player's stupidity for not listening to her instructions and wondering what their screams would sound like. The player powers on the generator, hoping to illuminate their path. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Miss Delight strides into the room and damages the generator with Barb, sending its battery flying across the room. With the generator destroyed, the halls are plunged into a flickering darkness again. Mr. Light chases the player. Finally, the player reaches the exit to the maintenance area. Upon the view of her prey possibly escaping, Mr. Light drops her Weeping Angel facade, chasing the player down. They find a lever and pull it, eventually setting the door to close. As Mr. Light madly sprints after them, she attempts to stop herself shown in slow motion, but fails and the door crushes her head, killing her instantly. And let's talk a little about theories. Mr. Light's movement mechanic was inspired by the Weeping Angels from the Doctor Who franchise, who have the same gimmick, not moving when someone is looking directly at them. Mr. Light's job as a teacher might also be inspired by Baldy, the main antagonist of the Baldi's Basics game, who shares a similar mechanic of hunting down the player. This mechanic is similar to the NDOS in FNAF Security Breach. Barb's handle has a name tag that reads, "Hello, my name is Carmen," which may imply that Mr. Light's full name is Carmen Delight, although the handwriting is hard to make out, so it may not be accurate. Alternatively, Carmen may be the name of the person who became Mr. Light, or it may be the name of a child who went to the school and left the ruler behind. The name Carmen means fruitful orchard, poem, garden, grape, or vineyard. The name Carmen Delight may be a reference to the brand of Madeira cakes called Carmen's Delight. If the player returns to the area where Mr. Light was killed, they'll find that her body is no longer there, suggesting that the prototype has taken IT.A fixed. A version of Mr. Light can be found out of bounds in the school section. While not used in-game, the model is used in the Hour of Joy tape, which shows Mr. Light and her sisters attacking employees. The model is heavily rigged, which may imply that it was originally intended to have a greater purpose before being reduced to what it was. If the player pulls the lever before entering the final room in the school, Mr. Light's death animation will play regardless of where they are. The player will be soft-locked due to the metal gate blocking the hallway. This can be easily fixed by thus having her jump scare the player when she runs down the hall and encounters them. Mr. Light's real teeth aren't the same as the teeth in her undamaged form, suggesting she tore off her teeth faked to eat her sisters. Mr. Light never speaks when encountered and can only be heard over the loudspeaker. Although she does growl while chasing the player. In the pre-release trailer, Mr. Light would only move when the lights were off and freeze when the lights flickered back on. Playtesters confirmed that this mechanic was changed as it was reported as unbalanced, with the developers fixing her into a Weeping Angel in the final product. A lore-based reason as to why this mechanic was changed could come from a note that describes how her method of attacking was to stand very still, appearing dead to her prey. When the game was released, some YouTubers received a build where Mr. Light retained her old mechanic as opposed to moving when she wasn't being observed. Mr. Light may be a reference to the real-life Barbie doll, as she is built like a posable plastic doll. Additionally, her weapon is dubbed Barb, which is presumably due to its barbed appearance, although the name could be a double entendre,